Hundreds of millions. I mean, that's the number of daily active users we're talking about for mini programs on platforms like WeChat and Alipay in China.
Yeah, hundreds of millions. It's pretty staggering when you think about it.
Think about that scale. People accessing services without ever actually leaving their main apps.
Okay, let's unpack this because it's more than just a big number, right?
Absolutely. It really represents this unprecedented direct channel to consumers.
A channel that completely bypasses the usual friction, the app stores, the download.
Exactly. It's potentially a keyhole view into how we might all be shopping or, well, interacting with businesses in the future, even beyond China.
Right. And these aren't your standard apps, the ones you hunt for and install.
No, not at all. Yeah. Mini programs are essentially apps within apps. Think of them like streamlined little extensions that just live inside these massive existing platforms, WeChat, Alipay, Baidu.
So it fundamentally changes the game for businesses, like
Yeah.
the cost and effort to reach people.
Precisely. It lowers that barrier significantly for reaching a huge mobile audience. And for us as users, the beauty is just the sheer convenience. We're talking install free, account registration free, often even payment setup free. It's all about getting access immediately.
That immediate access is key. And, it's not just confined to China. Japan's line, for instance, has its own version called Mini App.
Interesting. So this idea of seamless in-platform stuff is gaining traction elsewhere too.
It seems so, which brings up a really important question. Why is this model proving so, well, impactful, especially for businesses that have physical stores?
Right. So our mission for this deep dive, then, is to figure out how these mini programs are shaking up the retail experience.
Exactly, particularly for those brick-and-mortar places trying to get online without getting totally bogged down in, traditional e-commerce complexity.
But we've got some great examples to dig into, right,
Yeah.
to really show how this works in practice.
We do. We'll look at a pork chain called EC, or Qian Dama. Their growth is quite something. And also a fruit chain, to Baguio. They've got some really innovative strategies.
Sounds good. These stories should hopefully provide some real aha moments about the power of these mini programs.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So let's start with the basics. Why mini programs? And maybe more importantly, why now?
Okay.
If you think about user behavior, there's just so much friction with native apps sometimes. Downloading, installing, registering, setting up payments, it can be a hurdle.
Definitely. Like if you just need a taxi quickly.
Right. Take the PayPay app in Japan. It integrates Didi's taxi booking as a mini program.
Wow.
So you just tap the icon inside PayPay, pop in your destination, and boom, you're calling a cab. No need to install a separate Didi app or register again or even mess with payment details if you already use PayPay.
That seamlessness is just, it's everything, isn't it?
It really is. And the data backs this up pretty strongly. Quest Mobile did a comparison.
Quest Mobile, right. Comparing the monthly active users, MAUs, for mini programs versus their native app versions, specifically within WeChat.
Yeah, and the numbers are eye-opening. For Ctrip, the travel booking service, the mini program had, get this, 29.5 times more MAUs than the native app.
29.5 times, wow.
It's huge. And for back now in the movie ticket platform, it was 7 times more usage via the mini program.
Still massive.
And it continues with everyday stuff, too. KFC saw 6 times more. Mobike for bike sharing was 2.7 times. Even the official train ticket booking, 12306, was 2.5 times higher on the mini program.
So the trend is really clear, especially for certain types of services.
Exactly. It's most pronounced in those sort of life services that usually need you to register and pay. That friction reduction is obviously a huge driver.
Makes sense.
But it's worth noting, native apps aren't dead, of course. They still dominate where performance or really deep, complex features are critical. Think gaming, maybe some utility app.
Right, things where you don't necessarily need that quick registration or payment integration up front.
Precisely.
And the scale here is just immense. WeChat mini programs alone, 250 million daily active users.
250 million daily, yeah. Across 8,200 companies, 200 industries.
And Alipay isn't far behind.
Nope. 230 million daily active users, over 200,000 mini programs on their platform. And maybe unsurprisingly, food and retail are absolutely huge categories for both.
Okay, so for physical stores, what's the big draw? You mentioned customer acquisition.
Yeah, that's a major one. New customer acquisition. Let's paint a picture. Imagine you're walking around a city you don't know, and you suddenly fancy a coffee.
Okay, happens all the time. My first instinct, probably Google Maps, search coffee.
Right. And you'll get location, sure.
Yeah.
But what about the menu? Prices? Do they take cards? Apple Pay? Can I order ahead? It's often uncertain.
True.
Now contrast that with the WeChat experience in China. You might search nearby mini programs, and suddenly you've got a list of restaurants, retailers.
Like they're in the app.
Yeah. You can filter for cafes, see how far they are, maybe spot a familiar chain or discover a cool local place.
And this huge user base really translates into benefits for businesses, especially the ones with actual shops. It's really interesting here.
It does, because many of these cafes will offer, say, an introductory coupon for first-time users right there in the mini program.
Ah,
So you tap the cafe, the mini program just pops up instantly. You see the menu, place your order, payments handled smoothly, often through WeChat Pay or Alipay, which is already linked.
you just head over.
Yep, you get directions, walk over, and your order's ready. Maybe you show your order number or a QR code from the mini program. Well, mobile ordering via mini programs is basically the standard now in Chinese cafes and fast food places.
It's hard to imagine trying to replicate that elsewhere without mini programs.
Exactly. You'd find the cafe on a map, maybe, but then if you want the menu or mobile ordering, you're probably looking for their native app, downloading it, installing, creating an account, adding payment.
That's a lot of steps. Big drop-off potential.
Huge drop-off potential. So yeah, to kind of summarize that point, for many restaurants and retailers, native apps are becoming more about engaging existing loyal customers.
Whereas mini programs are the killer tool for pulling in new ones.
That seems to be the pattern, yes.
Okay, this ties really nicely into the whole concept of new retail, which isn't just, having a shop and a website.
No, it's meant to be a real fusion, blending the in-store and online shopping experiences, making them seamless, using data to integrate that whole customer journey.
And Alibaba's HimaFresh supermarkets are often the poster child for this.
Right. They are. They boast much higher sales per square foot, and apparently something like 60% of their sales actually come from online orders, which is remarkable.
60% online for a supermarket.
Yeah. But what's interesting is that replicating that success has been tough for competitors.
Yeah.
People like JD.com, Yonghui, Sunoning, they've tried, but hitting those online sales ratios is hard.
Why is that? Logistics?
Logistics is a huge part of it, yeah. Especially that last mile delivery, the cost, the infrastructure needed for efficiency. Even with Alibaba buying LA.me, the delivery service, competitors have struggled to match that network.
And this is where mini programs come back in, acting as a kind of solution.
Kind of a pathway, yeah. They let restaurants and retailers adopt some key aspects of new retail without needing to build that massive, expensive infrastructure themselves.
They can leverage the existing super app platforms.
Exactly. Leverage the user base, the payment systems, the discovery mechanisms already built into WeChat or Alipay. It bridges that online-offline gap more efficiently for many businesses.
Okay, let's make this concrete. Our first case study. Yingche, Qian Dama, the pork chain.
Right. Founded in 2012, grown incredibly fast, over 1,000 stores now. They started with pork, but recently branched into fresh vegetables, too.
And their whole thing is based on this unique pricing strategy tied to freshness.
Yeah, very unique. It taps right into the Chinese consumer's strong desire for super fresh meat. Their slogan is basically, no overnight meat. That's the core promise.
Okay, how does the pricing work? This sounds fascinating.
So they open in the morning selling at regular prices, but then starting at 7 p.m., everything gets a 10% discount.
Okay.
Then every 30 minutes, the discount goes up, 20% off at 7:30, 30% at 8:30, and so on.
All the way until?
All the way up to 100% off, totally free at 11:30 p.m. Apparently, they even offer free local delivery if you manage to snag something for free right at the end.
Wow. But does anything actually last that long?
Generally, no. Most stores are apparently sold out by around 8 p.m. or so, which, massively reinforces that no overnight meat promise. It builds incredible trust.
I can see that. But what about people who work late? They might miss out entirely.
Exactly. That was the potential problem. Customers finishing work late couldn't reliably get Qian Dama's products.
Enter the mini program.
Precisely. Qian Dama launched mini programs on both WeChat and Alipay. And the key feature, real-time inventory display for nearby stores.
Clever. So if I finish work late, I can just open the app.
Open the mini program, yeah. See immediately if the cut of pork I want is still available at my local store. It helps you decide if it's even worth heading over.
That's really useful.
And even better, the mini programs let you order ahead for in-store pickup. Basically reserve your meat.
Okay.
Or you can opt for paid delivery if you prefer not to go out.
Now, the obvious question, Why not just build a native app for this?
Huh.
Or use their website?
Good question. And here's where the mini program advantage really shines again, especially for Qian Dama's model.
Okay.
A native app needs downloading and installing. A website needs finding, maybe bookmarking, that's friction, especially for someone who isn't maybe a diehard regular yet, just a potential customer.
Right.
Mini programs, though, are easily discoverable right inside WeChat or Alipay apps people use constantly for payments, social stuff, everything. And once you use one, it sits there in your history.
Much lower barrier to entry then. Easier to convert someone browsing or just curious.
Exactly. Much lower friction for both attracting new customers and keeping occasional ones engaged.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense for Qian Dama. Let's move to the second case study.
All right.
Pagoda, the fruit chain.
Right. Big Guyorn, founded way back in 1997, so they've been around. Huge scale now, over 4,000 stores across 80 cities.
4,000 stores, that's massive.
It really is, and from the get-go, they focused heavily on standardizing their product quality.
How so?
Really meticulous grading. They grade fruit based on origin, freshness, sugar content, tons of factors, sometimes up to 18 different grades for a single type of fruit.
18 grades. Wow, that definitely takes the guesswork out of buying fruit.
Totally. We've all been there, right? Buy beautiful-looking fruit, get it home, and it's just disappointing. Big Guiyon's system tackles that directly, makes selection simpler, more reliable, builds trust.
And that focus on quality paid off.
Big time, helped them grow significantly. Then, in 2016, they made their first real move into new retail with a native app.
Okay, letting people order online.
Yeah, order fruit for either in-store pickup or free delivery. And because they had this strong reputation for quality, the app actually did pretty well.
How well?
They built up a 4 million member base, and the app accounted for about 30% of their total sales. So, respectable numbers.
But there was a catch, wasn't there? An unintended consequence.
There was. While the app definitely drove online sales, it also kind of inadvertently started cannibalizing their in-store foot traffic.
Ah. People who used to shop in the store were now just ordering via the app.
Exactly. Turns out a big chunk of their app users were actually existing in-store customers, switching to the app for convenience, which meant Baiguillon was missing out on those crucial in-store moments.
Right, because for fruit, seeing and maybe sampling is still important.
Very important. Especially for a retailer like Baiguillon, the physical store isn't just a point of sale, it's a showroom. It's where people discover new types of fruit, see attractive displays, maybe get a sample.
Leading to those impulse buys.
Exactly. The sweet kai, as they say in Japanese, buying something extra, incidentally, while you're there, those add up.
So losing foot traffic was a problem. What did they do?
They made a strategic pivot. In the fall of 2018, they launched hard into WeChat mini programs.
And how did that go compared to the native app?
Even better. Much better, actually. Through the mini program, they now have over 21 million users.
21 million, compared to 4 million on the app.
Yep. And about 3.5 million monthly active users on the mini program, so significantly wider reach.
Okay, but how did they use the mini program to address the foot traffic issue? Did they just replicate the app?
No, their strategies within the mini program are much more focused on driving people back to the physical stores.
How so?
Well, they still offer ordering with quick delivery 59 minutes within 3 kilometers, similar to the app. But, and this is key, they actively incentivize in-store pickup.
Ah, like offering coupons or discounts if you choose pickup.
Exactly. Coupons, maybe loyalty points, other benefits specifically for choosing pickup. This actively encourages customers to actually visit the store.
Creating those opportunities for the impulse buys again.
Precisely. And they're flexible, too. Apparently, if you get to the store for pickup and your order is heavier than expected, you can switch it to delivery right there.
That's a nice touch. Smart balance between online convenience and driving store visits. And they added something else too, right? Group buying.
Yes. The group buying feature within the mini program is really interesting.
How does that work?
So within the mini program, customers will see special offers for buying certain fruits in bulk at a discount. Like grade A grapes, 500 grams for 9.9 yuan, but it's a group deal.
Meaning you need multiple people to get the price.
Right. Usually just a small group, maybe 2 to 5 people typically, need to join the buy for everyone to get that discounted price.
Okay, so how do you find those 2 to 5 people?
This is where the WeChat ecosystem becomes incredibly powerful.
Ah, the social aspect.
Exactly. The mini program makes it super easy to share that group by link directly within WeChat. Send it to friends, family, maybe post it in your neighborhood WeChat group.
And because it's a mini program.
Because it's a mini program, anyone who sees the link just taps it and bam, it opens instantly inside WeChat. No app install needed, no new account registration.
Wow. Frictionless sharing and joining.
Totally. And payment is seamless too, usually integrated right with WeChat Pay. It makes participating incredibly easy.
That's brilliant.
Well,
But Goyuan gets multiple benefits here.
for sure. From their perspective, it helps clear out specific inventory, maybe things nearing peak ripeness, without huge markdowns on individual items. Reduces waste.
And crucially,
Crucially, it drives store visits because these group buy deals are almost always pickup only.
so the whole group has to coordinate going to the store. More foot traffic.
Exactly. And the numbers on new customer acquisition are pretty striking.
What do they find?
Big Wheel One reports that about 15%, 15% of the people participating in these group buys are completely new customers, people who hadn't shopped there before.
15%. That really shows the power of that social sharing combined with the easy access of the mini program.
It really does. Think about it. Big Wheel One has those 4,000 plus stores. They have massive brand awareness. More stores than Family Mart in China, apparently.
Wow. Okay.
So lots of people know the brand, have walked past their stores, but maybe just never went in or made that first purchase.
The mini program, especially through a shared group buy deal, acts as that perfect low-commitment bridge.
Exactly. It makes it incredibly easy for someone to finally try them out.
So Big is just a perfect example of how that whole WeChat ecosystem, the social network, the mini programs, the integrated payments, all works together.
It really is. It creates this incredibly potent toolkit for physical retailers to engage customers in completely new ways.
And it's interesting to contrast that quickly with Alipay's mini programs. They're powerful too, right? For delivery, new retail features.
Oh, definitely. Alipay is strong for adding delivery, enabling various new retail functions, but it fundamentally lacks that built-in pervasive social sharing layer that WeChat has.
Which makes WeChat perhaps more effective for that kind of localized, social-driven customer acquisition we saw with Big Yuan's group buys.
Generally speaking, yes. The social discovery and sharing is just so native to WeChat.
So ultimately, looking at both Qian Dama and Big Yuan, it's clear these mini programs aren't just some small trend.
No, they really represent a genuine game changer for Chinese retail. They're enabling quite sophisticated online capabilities even for businesses that might not have huge digital teams or resources.
Offering a more accessible, deeply integrated way to connect with consumers today.
Exactly.
Okay, so the big takeaway here seems to be that mini programs signal this fundamental shift in consumer retail interaction. It's not just about e-commerce anymore.
Right. It's about blending online convenience with the physical store experience in these powerful new integrated ways.
Creating a much more fluid journey for the customer.
Precisely. And this really leads to a thought-provoking question for you, our listener.
Okay.
How might this app within an app model, leveraging these dominant existing platforms, how might that evolve and impact retail or even other service industries in your own context, outside of China?
Yeah, what barriers might exist in different markets, different user habits, different platform landscapes?
And conversely, what kind of exciting opportunities might pop up if similar integrated digital ecosystems start to emerge elsewhere?
It's definitely something fascinating to watch. Keep an eye out for these kinds of integrated digital experiences.
Yeah, their potential to reshape the businesses around us feels pretty significant.